The story begins in the calm before the storm, with our protagonist locked in a fierce online battle. Sensing his teammate's distraction, he throws out a casual jab. Yo, you away from keyboard, or is your girl getting a little too frisky down there? A chuckle echoes through the headset. Bro, are you psychic? She's just helping me de-stress. I get too heated when I play, but as he turns to thank her, the atmosphere shatters. Terror grips his heart. That wasn't a lover's touch. She had turned into a mindless beast, sinking her rotting teeth into flesh where no teeth should ever be. On the other end, our main character merely chuckles, his voice ice cold. I'll carry the team from here. You just enjoy the rest of your life with her. Victory flashes on screen, but reality interrupts with a frantic ring at the door. It is Lubey, the stunning neighbor, a curvaceous beauty standing there, trembling like a leaf in a storm. Tears stream down her face as she spins a tale of lost keys and dangerous stalkers hunting her down. She begs for sanctuary. Our hero flashes a gentle, disarming smile. Of course I'll save you. Just close your eyes for a moment. Relieved, she shuts her eyes tight, whispering the classic line, "Thank you. I'll do anything you want if you help me." But instead of salvation, the air whistles with a sharp, deadly sound. With the precision of a surgeon, he severs her head. Don't thank me. I'm just doing my civic duty. A holographic screen materialized. System alert, common zombie eliminated. You have gained 1 point. He slams the door, leaving the corpse to rot. I'm no hero of justice, and I'm definitely not a savior. I'm just a gamer trying to unwind. But deep in his eyes, the memories of a timeline gone wrong begin to surface. In his past life, that same beauty had bitten the hand that fed her. As the infection took him then, a mysterious system awakened, rewinding time itself. The status window glows. User, Lee Fan. Strength, 10 plus 1. Agility, 10. Constitution, 10. Points, 0. The rule is simple. Kill the undead, become a god. Through the window, he spots a gruesome sight. A wandering zombie is already feasting on the neighbor's fresh remains. Without a shred of fear, Lee Fan throws the door open. Perfect. Time to farm some experience points. The beast lunges, but Lee Fan is faster. A silver flash and the head rolls. So this was the stalker she was worried about? The familiar chime rings out. Target eliminated. Plus 1 point. He glances at the neighbor's mangled body. It's rude to leave a lady lying around. Let's make sure her death serves a purpose. Minutes later, the gruesome trap is set. He uses her corpse as bait, fishing for monsters in the hallway. The plan works perfectly. Heads fly, and the system points start stacking up like crazy. But after a few hours, the buffet is closed. The ravenous horde has picked the bones clean. A frown creases his brow. Out of bait already? How am I supposed to power level now? His gaze shifts to the mountain of rotting flesh he just created. He grabs a rope. Time to take out the trash. I'm a model tenant after all. Just then, a guttural growl echoes from the shadows behind him. An elderly neighbor in a wheelchair drifts into view, but those milky white eyes confirm he is long gone. Mercy is a luxury in the apocalypse. Lee Fan's blade sings through the air. Asterisk, slash. Asterisk, another head hits the floor. Sorry, old-timer. No cure for being dead. Then, he spots the loot. A wicked grin spreads across his face. Thanks for the wheels, Grandpa. I'll put them to good use. Moments later, he is using the wheelchair as a cargo cart, hauling the corpses out with zero effort. He dumps the bodies into the bin, pondering a philosophical question. Does zombie meat count as recyclables or compost? Job well done. He wipes his hands, but a voice from above interrupts his victory lap. Lee Fan looks up to see a man peering down from a balcony. It is the old man Sona scumbag of the highest order. Memories flood back. This trash used to torment him, even stealing his bike back in the day. When Lee Fan tried to use the law, he got his property back, but paid for it in blood and bruises the very next day. But that was then. In the apocalypse, Lee Fan stares up with dead eyes. What do you want? The bully flinches, shocked by Lee Fan's nonchalance. Why isn't he whispering? Doesn't he know the monsters can hear? Panicking, the man scribbles on a notepad and shoves it against the glass. Bring food and water to my door. Now. Li Fan scoffs. And why would I do that? The rejection sends the bully into a silent rage, his mouth forming the words, asterisk. You little punk, asterisk. He frantically writes a new offer, thinking he still holds the power. If you serve me, I will let you hide in my apartment. I also know a secret sanctuary where we can be safe from the undead horde. But the protagonist simply shakes his head, his gaze icy as he replies, I have The stranger's face instantly contorts into a mask of twisted rage. Consumed by fury, he hurls a porcelain plate directly at our hero. The shattering crash echoes like a dinner bell, instantly drawing the attention of every nearby zombie. From the safety of the balcony above, the man cackles with malicious glee, screaming, Now you are finished, you arrogant brat! But the protagonist doesn't panic. With the kitchen knife gleaming in his grip, he becomes a blur of motion, severing the heads of the attacking monsters one by one with surgical precision. The man upstairs watches in paralyzed shock, his brain refusing to process the impossible slaughter unfolding before his eyes. After a moment of stunned silence, he forces out a shaky, nervous laugh and yells down, I'll admit, you've got some skills. But you're dead meat out there anyway, so join me while you still have breath in your lungs. A devilish smirk plays on the protagonist's lips. He hoists a rotting zombie by the arm and calls back, Fine, I'll join you. But first, you have to survive this. With superhuman strength, he launches the undead creature straight up. The man shrieks in sheer panic. What the hell are you doing? In the next heartbeat, we see the man instinctively catch the flying corpse in a bridal carry, freezing completely as his mind shatters in disbelief. Minutes later, our hero pedals away on his bicycle, chuckling to himself. Enjoy your hot date with that zombie. After slaughtering a path through the undead, the system notification chimes more points secured. The scene shifts to a desolate supermarket. After raiding the shelves for supplies, he approaches the counter with deadpan humor. I'd like to purchase these items, please, he says to the gnashing zombie that used to be a cashier. Moments later, after permanently retiring the remaining staff and customers inside the store, the protagonist prepares to return to base. But suddenly, a roar tears through the mechanical growl of an engine. He spins around to see a bus barreling directly toward him, dragging a massive tail of frenzied zombies in its wake. However, the sight of that vehicle doesn't just bring danger, it triggers a jagged shard of trauma from his past. Flashback to his childhood. He sat in the back seat while his father drove the stepmother to dinner. The woman, whose heart was filled with venom, was berating his father about the boy's very existence. She spat that she felt physically ill just looking at the son of that woman. In the back, the young protagonist clutched his teddy bear, tears stinging his eyes as he longed for his real mother, who had been taken by sickness. His stepmother snapped, screaming, Stop that sniveling right now or I will beat you to death. Suddenly, mania took over. She snatched the steering wheel from his father, shrieking, Stop this car! I need to teach this brat a lesson! But before his father could regain control, a speeding bus slammed into them, sealing their fate in twisted metal. Back in the apocalyptic present, the adult protagonist stands silent as a statue as the bus screeches to a halt right beside him. The driver leans out the window, grinning. Hey kid, looking for a lift? His smile then twists into something sadistic. But I don't pick up passengers until they're dead. Once those zombies tear you apart, then I'll open the door for you. The protagonist gives no verbal reply. He simply stands his ground, his knuckles turning white as he tightens his grip on the kitchen knife. Inside the bus, a small boy weeps, tugging at the driver's sleeve. Please, sir, help him, let him in! But the driver snaps. He grabs the child, slashes his throat in one brutal motion, and hurls the dying boy out the door. Since you want to save him so bad, you can die like him! Get lost. The bus lurches forward again, leaving the boy's lifeless body to hit the pavement with a sickening thud. The driver glances at the rearview mirror, muttering, Why isn't that guy running? He must have accepted his fate. What a creepy bastard. But the protagonist doesn't move a single inch. A cold resolve settles over him. Die? I will not die here. The final words of his mother echo through time. My son, live a happy life. Find all the joy you can. I will always be watching over you. Those memories become the spark that ignites a roaring fire within his soul. With an explosion of movement, he hurls his blade at the fleeing bus. The steel cuts through the air and pierces the rear tire with a thunderous pop. The bus spins out of control, skidding violently before smashing into a utility pole. The driver, bloodied and trapped, screams, "Please, someone help me! Get me out of here!" The protagonist strolls up slowly, looking down at the wreckage. Tell me, how does it feel knowing you're about to be devoured alive? Painful, isn't it? He offers a chilling smile. Don't worry, the zombies are coming to give you a hand. He calmly retrieves his bicycle and pedals away, ignoring the driver's desperate pleas. Moments later, the swarm descends on the crashed bus, ripping the screaming man apart and feasting on his flesh. On the ride home, the system interface materializes before our hero's eyes, displaying his growth. Name, Lefan. Strength, 35 superhuman levels. Endurance, 10. Speed, 10. Remaining points, 0. As he navigates the streets, a faint, desperate cry for help drifts down from a nearby building. Glancing up at a balcony, he spots a woman clutching her young daughter, waving frantically. His expression shifts concern. Lee fans studied their gaunt faces, realizing the cruel reality of the apocalypse had taken its toll. Moments later, the woman was on her knees, discarding her dignity to beg, "I know I have no right, but my husband is gone and the cupboards are bare. I beg you, spare a crumb for us. My poor daughter hasn't tasted food in 3 agonizing days." Lee Fan calculated the situation, then handed over a watermelon and a pumpkin, his voice devoid of emotion. "This is a transaction, not charity." The woman blinked, confused by the concept of trade in a ruin. Money is just waste paper now, she thought desperately. But before she could speak, Lee Fan's sharp instincts flared. His gaze locked onto a treasure hidden in the gloom, a magnificent blade hanging on the wall. Catching his stare, she whispered, "My late husband was a collector. Please, take it. It might help you survive the hordes outside." Lee Fan's eyes gleamed. This wasn't just a weapon, it was a lifeline. "Is this truly mine?" he asked, barely containing his warrior's greed. She offered a weary smile. "Take it. It's useless in the hands of the weak. We are too terrified to leave this prison. Let it serve a warrior like you." Lee Fan nodded solemnly. "Stay hidden. If danger comes knocking, signal me. I will answer." The little girl tugged at her mother's sleeve, trembling. "Mama, that man has a scary aura." Outside, Lee Fan walked with a spring in his step, marveling at the steel. "With this, I can harvest zombie heads like crops." But his moment of triumph was shattered by a sickening thud behind him. Gravity had claimed a victim. He spun around to witness a nightmare. The woman's broken body lay on the pavement, life fading amidst a pool of crimson. Looking up, he saw a bloated figure on the balcony, casually blowing smoke into the air like a tyrant. The man sneered, looking down with cold indifference. Stubborn witch fought to the bitter end. A waste of high-quality merchandise. Lee Fan looked down at the corpse, seeing the map of agony etched onto her skin. She had endured hell on earth before her fall. Her open eyes held a swirling storm of despair, rage, and absolute powerlessness. It was the look of a soul that craved death as the only escape from this cursed world. Slowly, Lee Fan raised his head, his voice dropping to absolute zero. "Why did you throw her?" The fat man frowned, annoyed. "Why is this brat making noise?" "The zombies aren't even around," he shouted back, full of arrogance. "I am the king of this building. I do what I want. Every woman here belongs to me, so beat it, kid." Lee Fan knew silence was no longer an option. If he walked away, the little girl upstairs would be the next lamb to the slaughter. He scooped the woman's broken body into his arms and glared up. The villain's face twisted in revulsion. "What are you doing with that meat? Playing necromancer? Get lost, you sick freak. You're worse than I am." "I feel sick," the man muttered, retreating inside. He collapsed on his sofa, cracking a beer, remembering how he was a nobody before the world ended. But now, with no laws and no police, he was a god. He licked his lips, fantasizing about his next victim. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. He grabbed a bat, his heart racing. Don't tell me those rotting bastards learned to use doors. He peeked through the hole and his blood turned to ice. The woman he had just murdered was staring right back at him, her eyes hollow and accusing. He stumbled back, hyperventilating. What the hell? How did she crawl back from hell? On the other side, Li Fan held the corpse up like a grim puppet. Open up! I know you're in there! The fat man screamed in terror. Are you insane? Why did you bring that thing to my door? Do you want to get us all killed? He let out a manic laugh. If I scream loud enough, the zombies will come and eat that idiot outside. Then I'll be safe. But his cowardly plan evaporated as the door exploded inward, kicked off its hinges by Li Fan's monstrous strength. The villain stood paralyzed. How? How did a human kick down a reinforced door? Li Fan surveyed the apartment, his eyes tracing the tools of torture used to break the woman's spirit for days. And when she was broken, she was discarded like trash. Gently, Li Fan placed the body on the floor while the fat man shrieked. What are you doing? Throw that filth outside! Don't stain my floor! Why is she here? Li Fan's response cut through the air like a blade. She is here to witness your judgment, to see the price you will pay in blood. The scene shifts to the local police station. Using the very chains and ropes the villain had used on his victims, Li Fan had bound him tight. He dragged the screaming man toward the station like a dog on a leash. Why bring me here? It's abandoned. Everyone is gone. Are you crazy? Li Fan silenced him instantly. Shut your mouth! A brutal slap echoed through the empty street. The law is about to decide your fate, Li Fan declared, tossing the man into the station lobby. The man begged, snot running down his face. Let me go! I'll give you any women, gold, supplies. There's nobody here, please! But Li Fan just laughed. A dark, chilling sound. Look behind you. In the darkness of the station, dozens of crimson eyes snapped open. As he turned, a uniform-clad nightmare lunged. His scream was cut short by the wet tear of flesh as the undead officer devoured him alive. The sun rose on a broken world. An armored beast roared to a halt before the city library, carrying the last hope of humanity. Tactical mode engaged. One survivor turned to Elder Mew, ordering him to guard the vehicle. Worry etched deep lines into the old man's face as he watched them go. But the team captain stepped up, her voice cutting through the tension like a blade. Focus. We are here to retrieve the medical texts. Nothing else. A subordinate stepped forward, relieved by the silence of the hall, but the captain froze him with a single, icy glare. Ignoring his foolish optimism, she advanced. Blade drawn, she swept the perimeter with the lethal precision of a predator. Behind her, the man grumbled under his breath. Big Sister is way too paranoid for an empty building. She whipped around, silencing him instantly. Cut the chatter! Find the medical section, now! Suddenly, a silhouette appeared in the doorway. A friendly wave? The team froze, hearts hammering against their ribs at the sudden presence. It is a high-level variant, someone screamed, but the stranger just smiled, radiating a bizarre sense of calm. Relax. I am very much alive. Killing intent filled the room as they aimed their weapons. Unfazed, he lifted a book on vegetable cultivation. I am just doing a bit of light reading. He looks human, a teammate whispered to the leader. Quiet, the captain hissed, her grip tightening on her weapon. The young man placed a finger to his lips. Please, keep it down. This is a library, after all. As they backed away, eyes fixed on the blade strapped to his back. That guy, he has a screw loose. But the captain signaled for absolute silence. Her instincts were screaming, do not provoke him, just move. Grab the books and move. Fast. They turned to flee, but a voice rang out from the reading table. Hold on a second. Ice ran down their spines. The captain spun around, hand on her holster. Is there a problem? He looked at them with the patience of a saint. You are taking too many items. You need to register those properly before checking them out. The air left the room. They stared at him in total disbelief. Was this guy hallucinating? Who cares about late fees when the world has ended? The captain shook her head. This stranger was completely broken. And yes, he added, answering their unasked question, I am aware the world has gone to hell, but aside from the flesh-eaters outside, rules are still rules. The woman was floored by his insane logic. He is gone. Totally insane, a subordinate muttered. They grabbed their loot and backed out slowly. Before the door swung shut, he smiled. I am Lin Fan. If you need help, you know where to find me. His confidence was terrifying. Shocked by his casual generosity, the team sprinted for the exit. Dangerous lunatic, they whispered, fleeing into the daylight. Left alone in the silence, Lin Fan sighed. So rude to leave in such a rush. I did not even get to ask for their names. He shrugged off the encounter. Priority 1, mastering agriculture. Survival depended on self-sufficiency. Meanwhile, deep within a classified underground fortress, scientists scrambled around a containment unit. Inside, a twisted specimen writhed against its bonds. One researcher stared at the data, face pale. The virus. It is evolving. Impossible, another argued to the director. We cannot synthesize a cure. The mutation rate is off the charts. The head scientist froze, eyes locking onto the genetic sequence. A horrific realization dawned on him. These are not just reanimated corpses. They are still alive. Back in the city, Lin Fan surveyed his domain. Armed with library knowledge, he eyed the empty plots. Perfect soil for a harvest. He stood atop a ruin and filled his lungs. Attention! I am Lin Fan of Building 2, Unit 704. I am establishing a farm here. Any objections? The city answered with a roar. Hundreds of undead poured from the shadows. As the first wave leaped for his throat, steel flashed. Lin Fan drew his blade, a smirk playing on his lips. I will take that as a yes. It was a massacre. Sword art unleashed. Heads rolled with every strike. The system chimed sweetly. Points acquired. Points acquired. Standing amidst a sea of corpses, he shouted once more. Does anyone else have a complaint about my vegetables? Silence reigned supreme. He nodded, satisfied. Excellent. Then, a loud growl betrayed him. Fighting works up an appetite. Moments later, he was crashing at the neighbor's place, sharing a meal with the mother and daughter he had saved. Tears welled in the woman's eyes. Thank you, truly. But we cannot keep taking your charity, she trembled. My husband is gone. We are just dead weight to you. Lin Fan didn't blink. Speaking of which, he interrupted, mouthful. Did anything strange happen while I was out grinding last night? The woman blinked in shock, stammering out a desperate plea for her and her daughter to stay by his side for protection. But Lafon, ever the pragmatist, completely missed the romantic hint. He instead offered to find them a budget apartment in the old district for 1,000 to 2,000 credits a month. I know just the guy, he declared, dialing without hesitation. High above the city chaos, a phone began to ring. The agent snatched it up, praying for a rescue team, but instead, Lafon's calm voice drifted through. Greetings, Mr. Chen. Regarding that property you listed with Sin Feng Agency, is it still on the market for lease? The agent froze, his brain short-circuiting before he slammed the call shut in utter disbelief. Who rents a house during the end times? He slumped against the cold concrete, muttering about how their world had collapsed. No power, no security, just certain doom. The survivors huddled on the rooftop, scanning the horizon with desperate eyes, wondering why the government rescue squads had abandoned them. Undeterred, Lafon dialed again. This time, the agent answered with a roar, Have you lost your mind? Open your eyes. The world is ending. Get lost. But Lafan replied with eerie tranquility, Mr. Chen, there is no need to shout. I am simply looking to sign a lease. The agent disconnected in a blind rage. Lafan let out a heavy sigh. People have such short fuses these days, he muttered, redialing for the third time. The furious agent screamed instantly, Stop calling me, you lunatic! What do you want from me? Lafan answered casually. I told you, I just want to rent your apartment. Why are you so angry? The agent finally snapped, his sanity crumbling. Fine, you want it? It is yours. I am on the rooftop of Building 3 at Fan Group International. If you want the keys, come and get them yourself, you moron. Lafan turned to the mother and daughter with a satisfied nod. He agreed. I will go finalize the lease agreement now. Before the stunned woman could utter a word of warning, he vanished into the chaos to close the deal. Back on the roof, the agent shook his head. When asked about the call, he scoffed. Just some brain-dead idiot pranking me. A thug pulled him aside, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Our supplies are running dry. We cannot feed everyone. What is the plan? The agent scowled, the weight of survival pressing down on him. How are we supposed to last until help arrives? The thug smiled, a cold, predatory expression. Those old geezers are useless anyway. Let us cut the dead weight. The agent hesitated, fearing a mutiny, but the thug waved him off. Leave the dirty work to me. The elderly die first. Then we handle the rest. The ugly ones can serve as slaves, and the beautiful ones, well, we will entertain ourselves. Who knows when this nightmare ends? We might as well enjoy the apocalypse while we can. Their laughter echoed like demons in the night, unaware that judgment was already coming for them. Meanwhile, LeFan cruised through the streets on his bicycle, a horde of undead snapping at his heels. His system interface flickered into view. Strength, 40. Stamina, 20. Speed, 15. He pedaled calmly, taunting the monsters behind him. Come on, keep running or you will get fat. Daily cardio is essential. I am watching you. Survivors, peering from high-rise windows, watched the spectacle with dropped jaws. How could anyone treat a zombie chase like a Sunday morning cycle? He is done for, one whispered. They will tear him to shreds, another added grimly. But they were ignorant of the truth. LeFan possessed a system, and every zombie he slaughtered only fueled his godlike ascension. Minutes later, he drifted to a stop in front of Fan Group International, the stronghold of the agent. Glancing over his shoulder, he saw the horde had vanished. Looks like they possess 0 stamina, he smirked. I will have to train them harder next time. But high above on the rooftop, the atmosphere had turned poisonous. The younger survivors gathered in dark corners, whispering that supplies were scarce and sacrifices had to be made for the greater good. In a quiet corner sat 2 elderly figures, Jiang Sona, a retired veteran, and his wife Sujifeng, a former military surgeon. The old soldier whispered softly, "We have become burdens in this new world. Let the young ones have the food. They are the future of our nation." Sujifeng squeezed his hand, her eyes filled with devotion. "I need nothing else," she replied tenderly. "As long as I am by your side when the end comes, I am content." Sohn, a retired military engineer, spoke up from the shadows. "She truly loves you, old friend, and I shall stand with you as well. The supplies belong to the youth. We have lived our lives. Let us face death with dignity, surrounded by those we cherish." Wang nodded, his heart full. "I love her more than life itself." He looked at Zhu. "Thank you for understanding, brother." Zhu sighed, a lifetime of regret in his voice. "I worked myself to the bone for years, dreaming of a peaceful retirement. Now, that dream has turned to ash." His wife, Yan Yan, a retired teacher, gently rapped his head. "Hush now, do not speak such words. Meeting you was my greatest joy. Every moment spent with you was a life well lived." So bowed his head, apologizing for dragging her into this living hell, but she simply smiled, saying she had never once complained. The self-proclaimed leaders stepped forward, masking their greed with false gratitude. Their excuse was simple. Resources were critically low. One young man argued aggressively that the strong deserved every scrap of food. But his mind was a cesspool of dark desires. He fantasized about a world where the weak perished, leaving him to rule over the supplies and the women. Another elder stepped out, his voice calm amidst the chaos. He knew their cruel plan was to cast the old aside to die. He swore they wouldn't touch a single grain of rice. Begging for dignity, he asked only to return home, choosing to face death on his own terms together. But a venomous woman raised her voice. If the elders left, the security breach could doom them all to the infected horde. Her solution was cold and heartless: throw them off the roof right now. The mob caught the scent of blood, chanting, "Throw them! Throw them!" But suddenly, a thunderous impact shook the rooftop door. A voice boomed from the other side. It was the tenant who had called earlier, demanding entry as if the world wasn't ending. The agent froze, terror gripping his heart. Surely this was a lunatic who had escaped an asylum when society collapsed. Land struck with the force of a battering ram, shattering the reinforced steel like glass. Yet his tone was bizarrely polite. I apologize. He dusted himself off, saying, I didn't realize this door was made of paper. I will wire the compensation to your account immediately. A conspirator whispered urgently. This stranger possessed monstrous strength. They had to play along. Just rent it to him. The plan was sinister. Let him take the elders down, and the noise would summon the undead to devour them all, using him as the perfect bait. The agent's eyes gleamed with malice. It was a perfect trap. You're smart. Let's use him. Lan scanned the crowd. Which one of you is Agent Chen? The agent stepped up, carelessly handing over the property rights. I don't care anymore. Take it. Lan handed over 5,000 in cash without blinking. Here is the down payment. It's all the cash I have on hand. I will transfer the rest next month when my boss pays my salary, he said, maintaining a facade of normalcy in this apocalypse. The agent stared, convinced the man was insane. But he played along, telling Lan to wait downstairs for the tour. As Lan turned to leave, his gaze locked onto an elderly figure. Recognition flashed in his eyes. Grandfather Soe-san? The old man was shocked. You know me? Lan grasped his hand with reverence. I saw you on the news. When the world turned its back on us, you were the genius who shattered the technology blockade and forged our nation's defense. You are a true hero. But So shook his head, humble to the end. You flatter me, young man. That glory was in the past. Moments later, after sensing the malice on the roof, Lan asked why the elders were choosing such a perilous path. So explained softly that they had accepted their fate. They refused to be a burden on the young, willing to starve so the next generation could survive. Lan's eyes flared with righteous fury. His killing intent washed over the conspirators, freezing the blood in their veins. Then, his expression softened into a warm smile. He made an offer that stunned everyone. The elders were coming with him. He swore on his life to provide food, shelter, and safety. Cao tried to decline, insisting they were merely dead weight. Just knowing a decent soul like Lan existed was enough for them. But Lan wasn't asking for permission. He declared his strength was absolute. He had secured a safe haven, and they were his guests starting now. The elders stood paralyzed, realizing this young man was a force of nature. Lan didn't wait. He grabbed their hands, his command leaving no room for argument. No more hesitation. We leave together. The agent started to protest, but his partner stopped him with a sneer. Let them go. Once the protagonist and the elders hit the ground floor, we'll lure every zombie in the city to their location. They plan to wipe out the old folks and the monster in one stroke. And that brings us to the end of this intense chapter. If you're dying to see how our overpowered protagonist crushes these schemes and protects the innocent, smash that subscribe button and leave a like. Let me know in the comments section below. Why do you think our protagonist is insisting on paying rent when money is useless? Thanks for watching. Until the next episode drops, check out these 4 legendary manhwas on the screen. See you in the next one.